We studied the human rights throughout this whole unit, and so they were able to connect current events with human rights being violated and how this connects to Esperanza Rising.
Going out and doing observations in classrooms across the district, we were seeing a disparity across schools, sometimes across grade levels, as to which students and how students were getting access to high quality, complex grade level instruction. So we wanted to ensure that students were having an equitable experience across the district. We wanted a curriculum that met the standards, of course, and the shifts in the core, which would mean that work around complex text, speaking, listening, writing, and reading around evidence from text, and building background knowledge and vocabulary. So it needed to address that. We wanted it to have a strong writing component, and we wanted it to have some research behind it. So we chose the EL curriculum because it does meet all of those things, and it also is one of the highest rated curriculums from Ed Reports and some other districts that chose that curriculum.
So it's no longer in the mindset where we're just taking a standard and teaching to that for a week or two and then moving on.
Because those skills all should be meshing anyway. Yeah. They're not all separate entities.
Right. My students can even see the progression of why we took notes and graphic organizers on this character, so then at the end it made the writing piece easier. And I feel like the amount of writing they're producing is way better than even what my students last year did at the end of the year, and the quality is just amazing.
When I look at what fifth grade's doing in that first module, I can directly see how my first module in second grade is going to build directly into that.
Our school, being with LSI and Schools of Rigor, we were working so much on group work and getting the kids to be more independent learners and helping each other, and EL fits right into that. And so that was very exciting for me. It supported all of our work that we've been doing the last couple of years. They just meshed really nicely.
Themes and the units are different grade level to grade level. A lot of the components and protocols are the same.
Let's do this with fidelity, and because I think by the time then they get to us in fifth grade, there's the power. They've had all of this stuff all along so that they really can be very independent by the time they get to fifth grade with a lot of the things that they're doing.
We could have a student go to a different school or possibly even 2 schools in a year and hear the same vocabulary.
I like that it's centered around a central question or a central idea, because that consistency carries through and you can practice so many different skills within a topic. And they know what to expect, and they know they're going to build their knowledge on that topic.
So some of the research that's out there around not just the text being diverse and culturally responsive, but the practices and the instructional strategies that we're using are also culturally responsive.
About 3,800 students are from K through 5 in terms of English language learner services. So students don't come to us with nothing. They're not a blank slate. They've got experiences, they've got background knowledge on all aspects of our daily world. And so if we can figure out a way to make those connections with our students, that just helps us move them further along than we would have otherwise.
Many of my students were able to have conversations about their experiences from the countries that they came from.
Yeah, my students have even carried over the human rights and social justice piece into the rainforest conversations about the people who live there, and we should look up who they are and make sure their human rights aren't being violated by the rainforest being cut down. And so that's such a big connection that you wouldn't think 10 and 11-year-olds can make, but they
definitely make the leap. And I think that this curriculum is showing us as educators, like, we need to provide this opportunity for them to really reach for this because they can.
Yeah, I mean, it's practice for when they're adults, they can be informed citizens too. I think it's awesome.
And the other things we were looking for was the social emotional learning, because that is one of our, another initiative and one of our board goals, that be embedded into the curriculum, and this one has that.
I've seen an increase in empathy. Huge increase in empathy with my students, and that's important to me.
And a true understanding of it.
And say, okay, in our conversation, we're going to talk about, are we behaving like ethical people today?
The other thing that I like about this curriculum is it touts the assets that all students bring.
So you'll hear teachers talk about scaffolds. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about those supports that are built in or that are instructional moves that teachers use to ensure that all students, no matter what their language level is or their instructional level, are able to engage in that complex text the complex ideas and the discussion around that. So those scaffolds and those supports are built right into the curriculum.
Every single student is able to access that material and that curriculum in a way that's appropriate for them. I group my kids a different way almost every day. From that standpoint, it has leveled the playing field that all of my students get access to the grade level material.
And we're seeing that students that normally may have been pulled out of a classroom for different instruction or been overly supported or heavily supported are able to interact with this, with the text and with the ideas and with the discussion, and even in the student outputs, the writing or the outputs that students are doing, they're able to do that at grade level with these supports.
And some heavy duty topics. I mean, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that's pretty heavy and it's heavy lifting. I have a student, she's a struggling learner, and the way she's been able to participate and have these conversations, and I sat with her and watched her work on her monologue, and she's got such amazing thoughts, and she wouldn't have had that had we not done it the way that it was laid out in EL.
We're going to give them higher level content right now. We're going to figure out a way to support them on their way as much as they need or as little as they need. I think that's a win for our kids.
So moving forward, we want to continue to support schools in their implementation of the EL curriculum, because we do know that that is the way that our students are going to get to those shifts in the core and that equitable experience across our district.
Just from my own personal connection and networks, the educators that I interact with have said nothing but great things about this curriculum and have seen amazing results. I think the same will happen for us and even more.